A heavy Russian transport plane recently arriving in Venezuela has sparked fresh concern across the Americas. The event points to a widening presence of Moscow in Latin America, right at the edge of U.S. influence, and raises new questions about what Russia's strategic goals might be in the region. Flight tracking records show that an aircraft of type IL-76, registered RA 78765, landed in Caracas after what appears to have been a multi-stop journey from Russia. It traveled through Armenia, Algeria, Morocco, Senegal, and Mauritania before crossing the Atlantic. The combination of stops and the choice of route suggests Moscow may have deliberately avoided traditional European or North American air corridors. This unusual path has drawn scrutiny because many of the African countries the aircraft passed through host Russian security, defense, or industrial links. For instance, Russia has long-standing military cooperation with Algeria and industrial ventures in Senegal. Analysts argue that the stopovers may have been used not only for refueling, but also for clandestine transfers of cargo or equipment. The IL-76 is a large military transport aircraft capable of carrying many tons of cargo or hundreds of troops. In past operations, similar Russian aircraft have delivered weapons, ammunition, and personnel to overseas theaters. A report in The Guardian noted that these types of flights have been used by Russian forces and linked mercenary groups in Syria, Libya, and Africa. Though I don't have the specific Guardian article here, this is a pattern widely reported. The landing in Venezuela is consistent with that kind of role. The operator of this particular aircraft, the company Aviaconcedo Trans, is under sanctions by the US, Canada, and Ukraine for providing logistical support to Russian military projects. According to a report by Al Jazeera, its fleet has moved rockets, warheads, and helicopter spare parts to Russia's overseas clients. Following the June 2023 mutiny by the mercenary group Wagner Group in Russia, much of its operations were absorbed into a formerly state-controlled unit called the Africa Corps. This marks a shift from deniable private operations to overt Russian military/paramilitary action abroad. Some analysts believe this flight may reflect that shift in logistics and overseas footprint. Venezuela has been among Russia's strongest allies in Latin America. Under President Nicolas Maduro, Caracas signed several defense and energy agreements with Moscow, covering fighter jets, maintenance contracts, and oil investments. The arrival of a Russian military transport aircraft makes clear that Russia is not just a distant partner, but actively deepening its footprint in the country. The timing of this development is also key. Venezuela relations are strained, with Washington accusing Caracas of facilitating drug trafficking, harboring sanctioned regimes, and undermining regional stability. In turn, the U.S. has increased its military presence in the Caribbean, deploying naval assets close to Venezuelan waters. The BBC noted this as part of Washington's so-called anti-narcotics mission, though many observers see it as a message to both Maduro and Moscow. Caracas strongly denies any aggression, with Venezuelan Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino accusing the U.S. of fabricating a pretext for war and pledging to defend sovereignty at any cost. The rhetoric is reminiscent of Cold War-style confrontation. The Venezuelan side also insists that there are no plans to use Russian military personnel for operations on its soil. From Moscow's perspective, the flight could be part of a broader geopolitical strategy of projecting influence near U.S. borders, as the U.S. arms Ukraine and expands its alliances in Europe. Latin America is rich in natural resources and sits astride strategic sea routes, offering Russia an alternative front without open warfare. Analysts at the Brookings Institution and other think tanks argue that Russia's use of private military companies and hybrid operations has long been aimed at undermining Western influence globally. Security commentators interviewed by outlets, such as Foreign Policy, believe the IL-76 flight to Caracas may mark the early stage of a new phase in Russia's Latin American policy.